Well folks, today I'm going to be doing a video on swapping a Gravely engine, these T-heads here. This one, I bought this Gravely over the winter and I got it running about a month ago, and the rings are all worn out on the pistons. It smokes like crazy and it's got absolutely no oil pressure, unfortunately. So I'm going to be removing this engine here, taking this one off. I got it all ready to go. I got the cowling all pulled off. I'm just going to take the bolts out, slip it off, and I'm going to be putting on this engine over here from my 1950s, which I think you guys saw in one video. It was in my projects video. But unfortunately, not the owner before I got it, but the one before that, it must have been nose up somewhere and it filled up with water. And there's a crack going from here all the way to the advanced casting in the front, and it blew apart the transmission underneath. So unfortunately that's no longer good, but the engine still has good compression and the valves aren't stuck or anything. So I'm going to be pulling off this engine here and putting it onto the other one. So we're going to have to see how that goes. And I got the exhaust manifold for this one. The carburetor from the one down there will go on here, and it should bolt right up as long as I can get one good gasket out of both of them. We should be all set. So for starters, I'm going to start by pulling the engine off of this one. Alright, well I got the engine off this one, so it came off fairly easily, and the nice thing is I still have a good gasket intact. Actually, if you look, there's two, whether those were like that for spacing issues or whatnot. Either way, I got two good gaskets, which is nice. So the back of this doesn't look too bad really. Probably clean up pretty good. Good parts engine. For those of you who do this, you just got to make sure that when you take this off, you have the exhaust camshaft that comes right over here to the magneto. The end, depending on which end you have, this is an older style, so it has this one. You got to take that off, because if you don't, it hits right there, pulling it off. You can't slide it. So they're pretty heavy. My guess is probably around 40 pounds, which is pretty good for this. Maybe 40 to 50. Not bad, but you just got to make sure you take that off the end of the camshaft to pull it off. Either way, it came off pretty nice. The inside looks fairly clean for the most part, really. Planetaries don't look too worn. So, might as well go up, take the engine off the 50s and see how that looks. Well, here's the engine off of this one. So, it took a little bit of persuasion to get that little coupler off of here for the magneto. It wasn't really rusted on, but the nut right there was kind of stuck, but was able to drive it off pretty good. Inside doesn't look too bad. You can see the crack right there, and that follows all the way through to the front, right where the joint is there for the advanced casting. So I don't know, it doesn't show a heck of a lot of wear, but in there you can kind of see it's worn a little bit. So at least it's got a fairly decent set of planetaries from the looks of it. Alright, I got the engine mounted up here. So I brought it down the hill and cleaned off the back side where the two gaskets go, degreased it, and threw those back in there. I didn't seal it or anything or put any sealer in there. They seemed like they were fairly new, so I just left them the way they were. And they seemed like they sealed up pretty good. So that's all bolted down, and it rolls over fairly nicely. I also got the magneto, the little coupler back on there, and that's for the most part as close as it's going to be for timing right now, as long as it runs pretty much. And I got the exhaust manifold back on, which was for that 1950s, which I had fixed a while back. And I'm going to have to run the muffler out down here. There's a plate that you bolt on that has threads in it, because I don't have any muffler with a flange this big. So I'll have to finish getting that back on there. And I got all my oil lines hooked up too, so those should be all set for now, for the most part. And the oil filter from the 1950s is on here also, because the original oil filters, which is right there, blew a hole in the back side because it had rotted through. So that's the only one I got left. And I blew through it, so it's not too clogged up for the most part, so it should work just fine. And when I roll this over, You can definitely hear that shaft does click. It's worn out. You can hear it when you roll it. And I think the connecting rod might be worn a little bit too, because you can, whether the camera picks that up or not, you can move the flywheel about that much without the piston moving. So we'll have to see how it goes. Even if it does start up and it's got good oil pressure but smokes a bit, I'm fine with that, as long as I can get one halfway decent run at Gravely out of it. So let's finish getting it back together and we'll see if she'll run. Alright, well, we're all back together. I got my gas tank hooked up here just so I can see if she'll run. I got the oil back in it, belts on, mufflers all together. Didn't put the top shield on because I haven't moved these bolts and I don't want them to break. I just want to see if this works first. So let's get some gas in it and we'll try it out. Hope we get oil pressure. That sucker's got oil pressure. Got a face full of it. Well, folks, there you have it. Had a successful engine swap for, I guess you could say, now the Frankenstein Gravely. So I'm gonna get the hood over there from the 50L. Take that, put it over here. Yep, got a tree frog in here somewhere. Take the battery tray off and get the hood put on here, and then I'll have a beater Gravely, I guess you could say. Good spare, and definitely runs a lot better than I thought it was going to. So doesn't seem like it's smoking too bad. It's just I think it's burning off some crap from the muffler and whatnot. But you could see my shift lever. I had to turn it around because of the way this old elbow is. So I'm going to fix up one of my other manifolds, put that on there, and then we'll have another good running Gravely Model Li. So there you have it, folks.